Bringing Christ to the culture to Christ. I feel alive when I FaceTime. God gave for us, just spreading the love. Yeah, bringing Christ to the culture to Christ. I feel alive when I FaceTime. God gave for us, just spreading the love. Yeah.
So welcome to FaceTime with God. I am elated because we are still in St. Louis and I have one of my faves here, Miss Kimberly Poe.
Hello.
Non-bougie. Kimberly Poe.
Why are you starting at the
so real, so warm.
Thank you.
So wonderful.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here with us as we do
you
our
for
first
having me.
live remote. We're just so happy and excited.
So excited.
So I said you're my fave, but tell everybody who's watching, who is Kimberly Poe?
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love this question. You know what? I feel like I'm a girl on a healing journey.
Wow.
I am. You know what I'm saying? On a healing journey who loves her daughters. I have 2 girls. They're 10 years apart. And learning how to parent, you know, in a healthy way. And just really, like, I love my Bible.
Okay.
I love seeking Jesus. Like I am. I'm a Bible girl. I aspire to be a theologian one day.
Really?
I really do.
Really? I can see that.
You
I
think
can
so?
see that.
Like seriously, I am just now in a place where I voice that and I communicate that to people. I think I'm becoming more comfortable with it. You know, because I really do love the word. I love studying the culture. Like, what was it really like?
Wow.
And why did God do this? And why did He say these things? So. Yeah, I think that's a little bit about me. I could go on and on, not in a bougie way, but
the non-bougie Kimberly Poe.
no, but yeah.
So wow, it's so much. You know what I think about when I think about you, and I think probably most people do. The biggest thing in the room,
What?
your hair. You have the best hair.
Oh my
ever.
goodness!
Like I said before, I said, Kim, have you ever thought of being a hair coach?
Oh my goodness!
Oh my
I don't
gosh,
know if I
I've never
would
met anybody
succeed.
with hair that beautiful. Like seriously.
The struggle be real though. It is. And especially going through this perimenopausal thing, it's like it's different textures in there and it's like you're trying to figure out products and everything. So the struggle is real. I'm grateful when I do have a good hair day.
Yeah, well,
I am.
well every time I've ever seen you, you have had a good hair day.
Well,
so
thank you.
Whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Okay.
So so you have 2 daughters
10
10 years apart.
Yeah, they're 10 years apart.
Wow, that's a big difference. And then I know are you still coaching volleyball or no?
Not right now. There's a little gap in between the time.
They traded
There's another
Or
well, I was actually coaching alongside my oldest daughter, who is 25. So I was her assistant coach, and she was able to tell me what to do just on the court.
Yeah,
So,
just on the court.
Just on the court. So it was pretty fascinating. It was. I had a good time. So we're thinking about doing it for the next semester. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wow.
But
How do you coach volleyball? It's like, what do you?
Yeah, you know
tell
what?
them?
My part actually that I really enjoyed was being there for that younger generation. You know, and then actually seeing my daughter shine in this way as well. It was beautiful to see her because I've always seen her. Even growing up as a leader, and to see these girls looking up to her, the next generation is so important to me, the upcoming generation, because I think what we pour into them now, you know, will begin to manifest later. And I'm always thinking about, I think, the next generation because of what was poured into me. And all the time, it wasn't the greatest thing. You know, those past generations, they did what they could. You know, but it doesn't mean that it didn't impact us in ways that are affecting the decisions that we've made, our relationships, and things like that. So
and I want to dig into that a little bit more. But part of it, I want to say this too, from a distance, right? 900 and some miles away. But just at a distance, I just love the way you're parenting your daughter and just some of the stuff you shared about how she did your Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, she cooked the entire meal.
Yes.
And it was great. It was better than what I've done in the past. Seriously.
Really?
You know, and I loved seeing her take that on.
Yes.
Because I remember I still have videos of her when we started. I think she was like 3 years old, and she's like prepping the turkey.
So she likes.
Yeah.
She likes
Yeah,
cooking.
so.
And then you shared with me, I forget what it was, but it was something, and you guys were doing scriptures together. And I think you said Liberty told you she wanted, let's Mom, let's put scriptures out or something. So she's at a Christian school.
Yes,
right?
she is. She goes
and is
to
the
a Christian
volleyball
school.
team, it's from the school?
Yeah, it's at
Okay.
her school. So
Okay.
she's been playing since 7th grade. She's been
Okay.
playing since 7th grade. And this year was the first opportunity I had to be a part of that. So it was great. We had, you know what, I'm going to be honest, we had a few challenges before, you know, because you got mother-daughter in a place where, you know, there's an opportunity for, I'll just say, tension to arise because she has to look at me like now as coach and respect me in that way. And also her sister. So we had some conversations before, but there were a few times where she, well, like my Liberty, she got a little attitude, and I was like, okay, we're gonna talk about this. But you know, just like everything in life with us, with my Liberty, like you said, because she's with me the most, we're learning and growing together. Like she is going to be 16 this year, and so I know. I've been praying to God.
No, she was out. So she's in high school. What is she?
She's in 10th grade. She's in 10th grade right now.
I did not realize
She will be 16
that.
in July.
And then
Isn't that
Amina,
crazy?
I already told you, I just love her name. Just,
That's my oldest.
yeah.
My
I
firstborn.
love that. Yeah.
Yep, my firstborn.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I just love how you're talking about pouring into the next generation and how you have learned so much.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
as we all do, right? Growing up
Yeah.
and things that were wonderful, things that were not wonderful.
There you go.
So
Well
I
said.
want to kind of dive into that a little bit more, kind of then and now, right? And so I had my little props.
Let's see.
Now you can fall out with these, Kim. So I have my little props.
Oh my goodness.
And this-
oh my gosh.
This is then.
Okay.
So
okay.
that's a little Kimberly.
All right.
from
Oh
then.
my goodness. Oh wow.
And then you're
Wow.
really gonna like this one. This is now.
Who approved this message?
Then and now, right?
Oh my
And
gosh.
so,
How? Oh my goodness. That is so.
And I said, now that kind of looks just like Kim. The hairdo.
Oh
Anyway.
my goodness.
And so I said,
this is
how
just so
did we
interesting
get
to me.
from then to now, and what did that look like growing up? You know, what was it
Oh my
like
goodness.
for you, and how did you get here from there?
Wow. Oh my goodness. This just makes me, you know what, as I've gotten older, I've loved to go back in my mind and think about when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
You know, even in therapy, in counseling, I have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of things that I remember, you know, just growing up. I grew up in a single parent home. It was 5 of us, different fathers.
Okay.
My mother never married my father or my oldest sister's father. I have 2 oldest sisters on my mom's side because I have siblings on my father's side as well. She never married. She married my 2 youngest siblings' father. So I always thought that was my father. We called him Dada. Yeah, we called him Dada. And so now that I look back on it, I grew up in an environment where, you know, I had a mom that did the best that she could as a single parent. But there was a lot of, I felt like there was a lot of control, you know, not a lot of freedom to communicate or express yourself or just share your heart.
Yeah.
And so as I grew up, I was just used to, I think I became a people pleaser. I was
Okay.
just used to people just directing my life and guiding my life, and them guiding me, telling me what I should do in church, what I should do in school, what I should not do, what I should say. And if I did say this, there were repercussions for this. So as a child, you take that on and you're just like, oh, okay, well, this is how life works. People just tell you what to do. Even in church, I felt like you didn't have a say. You're going to sing in the choir. You're going to go to church this many times a week. You're going to be the program mover for this service. You're going to be the president of the birthday clubs and all of these things. But then there was one, I think, just season of my life, probably after I had Amina, my oldest daughter. And I felt like, there has to be more. I remember sitting in church thinking like, there has to be more to life and to God than this. Just coming to church, I felt like it was a ritual, and I was just doing things, and I didn't feel fulfilled, And I remember I was sitting in a service, and I said, I want to know God for myself, because everything came from the church mothers and the elders, like I said, telling you, well, I feel like God is saying this for your life. You should go here. I feel like God is directing you here. And so I wanted to learn to hear from God myself, but I didn't think that I could, because everything that I went through, I would run to my dad, who was my pastor.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad.
And this is, what'd you say, Dada? What's your
Well, this is my biological father. My stepfather that I grew up in the house with, that was who I called Dada. Now, I didn't meet my biological father until I was 9 years old. He was the pastor of the church that I basically grew up in. So I knew him as father. Like I said, I didn't meet him till I was 9. So that was I was born into this, just kind of like, I saw this in scripture. I think David said, I was born into like, I'm not going to butcher it up, so I'm not going to.
Iniquity, is that what you mean?
Yeah, something like that. But where it was basically expressing like my parents, it was an adulterous relationship. So my mother was not married to my father, but the time that I was conceived, he was married and he had a family.
Gotcha.
So I grew up in church, but around
and he was pastoring at that time.
yeah, he was preaching. I don't think he was pastoring. He was a preacher under another pastor.
Okay.
And so I grew up. I learned that I grew up as I thought about it. Like, man, this was a lot of dysfunction. A lot of people that were hurt and taught how to navigate life in a certain way, and all of these things had just poured down on me. And that's why I'm so passionate about the next generation and my parenting, because I'm like, wait, this has got to stop here. This has got to stop here. So these things went on and on and on. But like I said, I grew this passion, and I knew there had to be more to God than what I was experiencing. And so I wanted to hear from God myself. And I started really diving into the Word and studying and asking questions and like, why did God do this? What's going on here?
How old were you around that
This was probably, it was after I had Amina, so a little bit after I had my oldest daughter, so probably my late 20s. Probably my late 20s. And I went in and I was watching Christian TV, like it was just a passion and a desire to do that. And I remember as I grew stronger and stronger in the Lord did start speaking to me, and I was like, oh my God, I think that might have been the Lord directing me to do this. And I remember him letting me know, like, I want to lead you away from the church that you grew up in, no longer. And so that was one of the hardest moments of my life, because during that transition, I thought that everybody would be like happy and gung-ho, like the Lord's doing something in your life and we want you to go and be great. But a lot of people in the church that I grew up in, like, I was heartbroken because they took it personally, even my pastor.
Really?
And so that was heartbreaking, because you want your parents.
Your dad pastor? Your dad pastor?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
my
can
dad
kind
pastor.
of see that.
So that,
Anyway. I mean, I can see where, that would be hard.
Yeah. But you want your parents, like your parents, to be excited about the things that, especially when all of these years they done made you get up early and go to Sunday school. They want you. I'm thinking they want you to grow spiritually.
So what were you what did you tell them though?
I told him, I believe that God is, leading me in a different direction, and I'm going to be leaving the church.
Wow.
I didn't know where I was going. I just felt that there was growth. And what God wanted me to do at this church at this time, He was done with it. That's all.
And what city? Where was that?
It was still here.
Okay.
It was still here in the
'Cause
city
I
of
thought
St.
you
Louis.
grew up- I thought you grew up in the South somewhere.
Nope.
You were born and raised here?
Born and
I don't know
raised
where
in
yeah,
St.
okay,
Louis,
okay,
Missouri.
gotcha,
Yeah, born
gotcha,
and raised
okay.
in St. Louis, Missouri. So, yeah. So I think that was a hard moment for me because I don't know. I thought what I was going through and what God was doing in my life, that it was common for everybody, you know, common for everybody to hear from God and move in the way that God wanted them to move, you know. My parents grew up in church. My mother, all of them went to church together. So my father, and the church that my father was the preacher at, my mother was like the pianist and the musical director.
Okay.
So my grandmother, you know, grew up in church as well. She took her kids to church.
Okay.
And I think it was just, and I love it. I've thanked my parents before. I said, you know what? I really thank you for raising us in church. It gave me an awareness that there was a God, that there was somebody that could walk alongside you and that would come through in ways that you would never ever think. So I think just that seed was planted when I was a child. That seed was planted there. And as I got older, I think, you know, the watering came from just my passion. And I began to dive into the Word. I remember as a little girl, there was this big Bible that used to sit, you know, in the old churches.
Okay.
They had the huge, massive
like at
Bibles.
The altar, the one
yes.
they had on the,
And I would always be so curious about that Bible. Just the
Sometimes they
Word.
wouldn't let you touch it. because it
Exactly.
was-
That's why I
yeah.
said I was curious from afar. They would not let me
they
touch
wouldn't-
it.
yeah.
So I felt like I knew, now that I look back on it in hindsight, I knew God was developing inside of me to love His Word. And I think that just that seed being planted when I was a child and wanting to know more, I think I just fulfilled that desire of wanting to know more and wanting to know what God could do. I wanted my own testimony. You know, they would have testimonies in church, testimony services, and I would hear how the Lord came through and paid the electric bill, and He came through and paid the cable bill, all the things, you know. And so I wanted my own. And I remember, though, that I went to a women's conference at Joyce Meyer Ministries. That was,
Really?
And I didn't know what was going on in my life. I just knew that I wanted to do all godly things. I just wanted to do whatever. I want to go to a women's conference. I want to go to just whatever it was. And that was my first women's conference ever, I believe.
And it was here in Missouri?
It was here in Missouri when
I know
Joyce was
she
doing
used to
conferences
do it.
here.
Yeah, okay.
I went to a conference here in Missouri.
And is that your first introduction to Joyce Meyer Ministry? Okay.
Yep. And I had been watching on TV because, like I said, I was watching all things on TV when I was just so hungry for the Word. And and I'd seen her, and I remember too. I don't know if I've shared this with you before. Just years ago, probably in my early 20s, I was working. When I was working, there was a lady that I worked with. She sat right beside me in the next cubicle, and she used to listen to Joyce when Joyce was just doing like small conferences and things like that. And she used to bring these huge trash bags full of cassette tapes of Joyce. I mean, you know the black trash bags?
Wow.
Yes, those huge ones. Like she would have Joyce's tapes. And I remember her bringing them to my desk and saying, you need to listen to this lady. Now I'm in my early 20s and I'm just like, okay, yes, ma'am. You know, not really, you know, but I just still see how the Lord was.
Age now,
Yes,
kinda.
yes, I was about Amina's age, my oldest daughter. But I still see that the Lord was just, you know, His fingerprints in my life, Him keeping me and developing this passion, even when I didn't appreciate it, you know, even when I didn't appreciate it and I didn't have an intentional love for it. But, you know, years later, I would come to this women's conference, and it was after I did finally leave, you know, the church that my father was pastoring, and I did that like shaking in my boots because I was still young, and my heart was racing and all these things because I felt like people were against me. More were against me than for me. So I remember sitting at this conference, and Joyce's message was coming from religion to relationship.
Really?
And I was like, I felt like she gave me language
Yes.
for what I was dealing with, because I had never heard relationship with God through Jesus Christ when
Yeah.
I was coming up. We didn't talk about relationship in church. And I was like, that's it. Because she talked about coming from those religious duties and feeling like you have to do things for God to love you. And just talking about just the uncommon, unnatural love of God through Jesus Christ.
Bringing Christ to the culture to Christ. I feel alive when I FaceTime. God gave for us, just spreading the love. Yeah, bringing Christ to the culture to Christ. I feel alive when I FaceTime. God gave for us, just spreading the love. Yeah.